Have you ever thought you were a genius, but you really weren't sure? You know what I mean. You get 4 answers right in a week of Jeopardy episodes and you think to yourself, damn, I must be a genius. That's twice my average. Well, if you ever wondered, keep in mind there is a test. Today we're looking at the states with the highest IQ. Right off the bat, I promise you will be surprised at the few of them that made this list. Make sure you stay till the end and leave a comment and let us know which state surprised you. Most people are aware of the term IQ and know it's a reference to a person's intelligence, but the term and associated measurement are more than just numbers. What does an IQ test measure? How does an IQ test accurately capture the measurement of intelligence? Let me read the explanation from study.com. To calculate IQ, you take a person's mental age, divide it by the chronological age, and then multiply that number by 100. For example, if a person has a mental age of 12 but is 10 years old, then you divide 12 by 10 and multiply that number by 100, which would come out to be an IQ of 120. Now, every state here has a average IQ if you look at this chart, but they're on the higher end of average. The last video we did with the lowest, they were on the lower end of average, with some of them getting really close to below average. Shout out to Arkansas. But that's what we're doing today. We're looking at the states with the highest average IQ. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Nebraska. This is the first one that should shock you. I mean, stereotypically you think, farming states or just farmers in general aren't that bright. They really are. But that's a stereotype from like back in the 1930s. Farming these days is almost a high-tech job. Nebraska is the first one that kind of surprised me. Then I started looking at the things that they've invented in Nebraska and I realized these people do have a pretty good IQ. Ski lifts. They invented something that they don't even have a need for. That's ingenious. Actually, the ski lift comes from a company that originally was using it to move bananas, like in a manufacturing situation, processing. They invented vice grips, the 911 system, and Cliff Notes. Now, here's another thing that's going to blow you away. 2 very smart people are from Nebraska. The first one is Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, just genius investor. He's from Nebraska. He's 93 and he still lives in Nebraska. Now, buckle up for this one, and I know a lot of you are gonna, open your mouth when I say it. Larry the Cable Guy is from Nebraska. He left when he was 16, then he eventually went back for college, but Larry the Cable Guy, you think he's dumb because of his character that he plays. I've actually talked to him in person. He is nothing like that character he plays. When it comes to comedy, he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in the business. The average IQ in Nebraska is 101.2. Jobs recommended for a IQ of 101.2, stenographer. Number 9, Connecticut. I'm not surprised at this one. New England states have some of the best universities in the country, and you got to have a pretty good IQ if you're getting into a university, especially a top-notch university. Connecticut is where you will find UConn or University of Connecticut and Yale, amongst other great universities. Connecticut has always had a lot of very smart people. I mean, this is where the dictionary came from. Yeah, Noah Webster, a Hartford native, published the first American dictionary in 1806. His publication included, for the first time, inherently American vocabulary such as grip and tit for tat. This is also the state that brought us the vacuum cleaner, speed limits, and FM radio. You gotta have some big brains and some serious IQs if you're pulling those things out of your butt. The average IQ in Connecticut is 101.2. Job recommended for someone with an IQ of 101.2, museum curator. Number 8, Washington State. If you didn't know Washington had some serious IQs, you haven't been paying attention. Probably to the thing that's right in front of you right now, your computer. Microsoft technically was started in New Mexico, but it really became a thing in Washington State, where its founders, Bill Gates and Paul Allen, grew up, Seattle. But yeah, technically it was founded in New Mexico. But Washington has had a lot of great things come out of there. Disposable diapers, bass guitars, Cinnabon was invented in Washington, so were backpacks, water skis, and quilted down jackets. They also invented pickleball, which I am so over. It's one of those sports that looks like it was kind of fun, or activities, I should say, and then 30-something couples started taking it way too seriously. I actually met a guy who played pickleball all the time, and he was very, very arrogant about his pickleball skills, which of course ranks up there with someone being arrogant about the knowledge they have on Crocs. The shoes, not the alligator type thing. Recommended jobs for a IQ of 101.5? Actor. Number 7, Utah. Utah doesn't surprise me at all. These are pretty smart people. They got some incredibly good universities, and back in the day, they just read, worked, and multiplied by the dozens. They like to have them some kids. One of the kids that came out of Utah was Ken Jennings, 74-time Jeopardy champion. Yes, I think he's the guy that still holds the records for wins at Jeopardy. This is also home to Nolan Bushnell. He's one of the founders of Atari. And if you're a Gen Xer, you owe a lot of your free time to him. Utah is also home to Edward Gulp. Back in the 1950s, Edward went to work on trying to figure out how to save people from automobile accidents. So he invented an ejection seat, like on a fighter jet type thing. If your car was in an accident and the bumper got pushed in a little too far, your seat would fly through the glass roof of your car. It would launch you 10 to 15 feet in the air, avoiding the accident entirely. You just had to worry about this happening under overpasses, in tunnels, near power lines. Sadly, after he tested 2 of these things, he gave up because it was just too dangerous. They have had some good inventions in Utah, though. Gore-Tex was invented in Utah, along with synthetic diamonds. The average IQ in Utah is 101.5. Suggested jobs for that IQ: electrical equipment repairman or woman, or teacher. Number 6, Wyoming. Yes, congratulations, we've made it to one of the ones that shocked me. Wyoming? I never thought Wyoming was, the type of place where a bunch of people with really high intellects were hanging out. I mean, we're talking about a state that the phrase, "don't touch that, that's a moose turd," has been said more than once. Wyoming is home to great inventions like the Christmas stocking. Yeah, no kidding. Joan Sheridan, a prolific inventor from Wyoming, received 20 patents for various items, including Christmas stockings. Not to be outdone, a woman named Josephine Cochran in 1887 invented the automatic dishwasher. Actually, I think that came before the Christmas stocking, but still, pretty cool. The average IQ in Wyoming is 101.7. Suggested jobs for this, very impressive: archaeologists and physiologists. Number 5, North Dakota. I know, North Dakota. Most of you just went, what, they can read there? Yeah, they can, believe it or not. They actually got some pretty good universities and some pretty smart people. I mean, smart enough to invent Mr. Bubbles. Remember that bubble bath? Yes, it was invented there, and I will tell you one thing for sure. I don't like the fact that they don't have the powdered version anymore, which was essentially Comet with a nice flavor, with a nice smell to it. But yeah, Mr. Bubbles was invented in North Dakota, so was cream of wheat. Yes, this breakfast staple was first made by wheat millers in Grand Forks, North Dakota back in 1893. Now, it's not just, unique to North Dakota anymore. Obviously, it's sold everywhere, but it started in North Dakota. I don't know if that takes a high IQ to figure that one out, but I think it's pretty cool. Mr. Bubble, though, you had to be a genius. I actually have a Mr. Bubble shirt right now. The average IQ in North Dakota is just like Wyoming, 101.7. One other job that is, suggested for that IQ: publication editor. Number 4, Vermont. Getting back into New England, Vermont. Vermont is one of the only New England states that doesn't have an Ivy League school, even though the University of Vermont in Burlington is one of the original 8 public Ivies. Public Ivies is an informal term used for public colleges and universities in the United States that are perceived to provide a collegiate experience on the level of Ivy League universities. So it's just supposedly as good as an Ivy League school, it's just not in their conference. They've had some pretty smart people from Vermont. John Deere, the tractor company. Yeah, 1804, he was born in Rutland, Vermont. He started off as a blacksmith. They've had some pretty good inventions come out of the big brains in Vermont. American direct current electric motor. That was invented by Thomas Davenport in 1834. Davenport is also credited with inventing the electric railway. One other really cool thing invented in Vermont, open reel. Yeah, the fishing thing. This invention changed the world of fishing. The average IQ in Vermont is 102.2, and a good job for that IQ? Dietitian. Didn't see that one coming. Number 3, Minnesota. Just about anything ever invented in Minnesota, I'm sure, has to do with staying warm. Minnesota has had a lot of smart people born in this state, a lot of high IQs. One of my personal favorites, Sinclair Lewis, first American novelist to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. They've had some pretty good inventions come out of Minnesota, and one really strange one. Minnesota invented the indoor shopping mall. Yes, the first one was in Minnesota because it's so freaking cold outside, no one's going shopping when it's like 40 below. After that, or before that, they invented the furnace thermostat. Yes, because it's cold there. They also invented Nerf. Yeah, Nerf guns, Nerf balls, so you could play in the house when it's snowing outside. And then the most interesting one was Klaus Mauser back in the 1940s. He invented the latex lederhosen. Why he invented that, I don't know. I think Klaus had some problems. The average IQ in Minnesota is 102.9. Good job for that? Conservationist. Number 2, Massachusetts. Yeah, this one should be a no-brainer. I mean, they've got Harvard there, they've got MIT. The University of Massachusetts over there in Amherst. You got Boston University in Boston, obviously. Northeastern University, Tufts. University of Massachusetts. Amherst College. One of my favorites, Brandeis University. That's just a few. They've got so many amazing universities in Massachusetts. And yeah, an education doesn't mean you have a high IQ, but to get into a lot of these universities, really just about any university, you probably should be working with a pretty good IQ. Obviously, some of our founding fathers who were pretty bright guys, they're all from Massachusetts. Samuel Adams, John Quincy Adams, F. Lee Bailey, the attorney, he wasn't a founding father, but he's also from Boston. Michael Bloomberg, Robert Kraft are from Massachusetts. They've had some pretty amazing things invented there. Well, I mean, obviously the Boston cream pie, one of the greatest things ever. Basketball was invented in Massachusetts, and so was disposable razors and Tupperware. Spreadsheets were also invented in Massachusetts. The average IQ in Massachusetts, it's 103.1. Good job for that, surveyor. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're looking to move to any one of these states or any city within those states, there's a link for Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, New Hampshire. Yep, another New England state knocking it out of the park when it comes to IQs. They also have their own Ivy League school, Dartmouth. But if you're not from the area and you don't know, you look at it and think it says Dartmouth. Years ago, I did a video and I did that on purpose. I called it Dartmouth. Oh my God, people freaked out. New Hampshire is a beautiful state with amazing small towns and a lot of really smart people. New Hampshire is home to many inventions, including the first modern kitchen stove, the first American alarm clock, the Segway, remember that thing? Other inventions from New Hampshire include interactive video games, the drip coffee pot, and the double boiler, which was invented by the same guy that invented the drip coffee pot. They've had some very interesting and very intelligent people come out of New Hampshire. Robert Frost, Franklin Pierce, Dan Brown, Alan Shepard, the astronaut, and movie director Brian De Palma, one of my favorites. The average IQ in New Hampshire is 103.2. Good job for that, engineering technician. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.